Good morning. So I'm going to wait to see if any of you turn up this morning, and I promised I would be here to talk about acne, and that's what we're going to do. I've got my cup of tea again. So like I said, I promised I'd be here. I have literally got out of bed and put a jumper on, so but I'm awake and I'm here as promised, so that was part of the plan, wasn't it? I've just realised, moving on from the April Fool's thing yesterday, if you look in the background behind me, you'll see some pictures on the wall. Now, I don't know how clearly you can see this. My daughter replaced the faces as one person on every picture with Donald Trump, and I'd kind of forgotten it, and it's still up there. So if you can see lots of pictures of Donald Trump behind me, that was courtesy of our lovely daughter yesterday. So I'm going to wait till a couple of you come in. But we are going to talk about acne and breakouts and being in isolation and all that kind of thing as well, because that's all we can talk about at the moment, really, isn't it? So hi Julie, hi Neil, hello, good morning, hi Lisa. So God, you can tell I haven't quite woken up yet. I haven't started on my tea yet. So we are focusing on acne and breakouts. A lot of the posts that have gone out this week have been about touching your skin and stress breakouts, and whether the current situation is making your skin worse, or that you're worrying about your skin getting worse. Maybe we've managed to get on top of it for you and you can't come in for treatments, and the sorts of things that we can do. Or if you're having time on your hands and you're sitting there going, I really have got time to sort my skin out, come and talk to me and watch this, and then we'll go through what we can do for you. So I think the first thing to say is, what is acne? What happens? What should we do? We shouldn't really touch our skin, should we? That kind of thing, so sheet scratching. And it's very difficult. Like I said, I've got this juicy spot come up right on cue for today. And all I want to do is touch it, and it makes you realise how hard it is to sit on your hands and not do that. So acne is a really common problem, and acne is the umbrella term for all of those things. A lot of people don't consider that they have acne, but ultimately it is the sort of technical term for breakouts and spots and all of those things, and it all comes under that same umbrella. So it can be caused by too much oil production, and I think one of the things that tends to happen is the oil in sort of genuine acne tends to be thicker, so it tends to clog the pores more. So you're not necessarily producing more of it, but it doesn't disperse as well. It sort of sits on the skin and sits in the hair follicles. And exfoliation is something that's really important with acne, but what happens is your natural skin exfoliation can be abnormal in acne, and again those skin cells that would normally be shedding off end up clogging the pores, and mixed with that sebum you can create sort of plugs in the hair follicles, which leads to breakouts and spots. One of the key things to that feeling when, like I had yesterday, when you can think, am I getting a spot there, and you can literally kind of feel it grow, is a bacteria called P. acnes. It's actually called something a lot more long and complicated than that, but the shortening and the recognised word for it is P. acnes bacteria. And what happens is that feeds off that sebum, that oil blocked in your hair follicles, and it proliferates, it grows at a really rapid rate. I think it can double every 6 minutes. So if you can imagine, that's why you get that, am I getting a spot? Oh yeah, I'm getting a spot. Oh look, I've grown a new friend, in what feels like a very short period of time, because that bacteria is getting blocked and trapped in the skin, and proliferates really, really quickly. So you get that growth very quickly of that spot. And then those where you get the trapping of those bacteria under the surface of the skin, that hair follicle fills very quickly with pus, with the bacteria, and it becomes under pressure, and so it starts to force out into the tissue around, into the skin cells around that hair follicle. And that's where you get that redness, that inflammation, like I've got here. I don't know how clearly you can see. I'm very proud of my spot this morning. It was right on cue. And so that's how that happens. Now, if you've got the sort of skin that is very prone to acne, and that's happening all the time, it can make your skin very sensitive. It can be very sore. One of the key things is cleanliness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what we can do ourselves to help acne, what I can do to help you, and some of the ingredients that are necessary for treatment of of spots and breakouts. Excuse me. Don't worry, can't cough in public anymore, can you? So it's worth getting a history from people as well when they come in. So, you know, do you get hormonal breakouts? Somebody say, I know that 1 week a month I will get breakouts, and you know, they know it's that week, and we can target that quite easily. We can actually prepare them for that. Some people it's all the time. I see a lot of women with adult related acne, which can be very frustrating. You know, you can think, you know, I'm 37 or I'm 42, why would I still be getting spots now? And that can be really frustrating. And breakouts can actually make you very self-conscious. It's something that you know, it stops people going out. It can really sort of disrupt people's lives, and we can do a few things that can really help. What I do find is that by the time people come to me, quite often they have tried everything, you know, and they have tried every off-the-shelf potion, they've ordered things online, they've been to their doctors. Now, there comes a point where acne does need to be seen by a dermatologist. What I don't like is when people who are at sort of grades 2 and 3 of acne, because it's graded into 4, 1 to 4, and I see people in a lower grade being put on antibiotics because the products that a GP is able to prescribe for you, they're very limited in their formulary, what they're able to give you, and it doesn't always work. You might get a temporary improvement with the benzoyl peroxide creams that they can give you, or the antibiotics that they can give you, but more often than not that seems to be a temporary thing, or once you stop that, then it comes back. And the frustration of the long-term damage that those antibiotics are going to do to the gut and to the body in general, just for the case of a few months of improvement on the skin, because the GPs are limited in what they can give you. And what I find is that those products that they are prescribing, while they might tackle the symptoms of acne and the actual spots themselves for a while, what they're not doing is looking after the skin. And actually, I get a lot of people say that after time on these prescription drugs, their skin can actually get worse. And I think one of the reasons for that is where it's not looking after the skin surface itself becomes damaged. And I see a lot of people with dehydrated oily skin or dehydrated acne skins, and it's very compromised and it's getting more inflamed, and that ultimately leads to more damage and more acne because there are more inlets to the skin to allow bacteria to enter. So if we don't fix the surface of the skin first, you can't really get on top of the acne. So when we come on to the products, you'll see that some of the products that I will recommend for acne aren't directly related to treating the symptoms, like i.e. your spots, but actually they are more about fixing your skin and allowing your skin to deal with it a little bit more first. As I said, you get towards sort of, you know, the more extreme grade 4 acne, you do need sometimes some dermatology input, but we can still get people an awfully long way with what we do if it's done properly. So what can people do to help themselves? Well, number one, and you'll have seen our post going out there, we did a poll this week as well, don't touch your face. Do not touch your skin, because you have bacteria on your hands. If we don't know about hand washing right now, we're never going to know, are we? So don't touch your skin, because the second you touch your skin, you have transferred bacteria from, you know, hugging the kids, picking something up off the worktop, eating, not washing our hands properly, touching a work surface that one of the kids has wiped a snot on. Our hands are bug transfer units. That's what they do. So we mustn't touch our skin, because that just increases our chance of getting bacteria and dirt and allowing that to happen. So that's number one, and that's really hard to do if you're used to touching your face all the time. The second thing we can do is, if you're old-fashioned and you use your phone to speak to people rather than text people, clean your phone regularly. Or if you're in a job where you're on the phone a lot, make sure you wipe that phone really, really regularly. The other thing to do is pillowcases. Change your pillowcase every single night, because if you're laid on it and the bacteria from your skin, if you've got lots of breakouts, goes onto your pillow, you lay on it the next night and that is transferred back onto your skin. So it becomes this perpetual cycle. So what I recommend to people for pillowcases is getting 4 or 5 of them and putting them all on your pillow in one go. And then you sleep one night and then you turn it over for the second night, take that pillowcase off and repeat. So you're not having to literally physically change your pillowcase every night. So, and that can really help with keeping your skin clean. Making sure you get into a good routine. Cleanse regularly every morning and every night. People don't always know why they have to cleanse in the morning because they haven't done anything, they haven't got makeup on, they haven't been out. But your skin is very active overnight. You will be producing oil, particularly if you've got if you suffer from acne, and you need to clean all that off. All the products that the skin forces out overnight to try and cleanse itself. It does a lot of work overnight, the skin. Clean that off in the morning and start again, and we'll go through products shortly. So that's really important. The other thing is diet. One of the things that does seem to be quite common with acne sufferers is dairy. Now, I'm not telling anybody to stop eating dairy. However, it does seem quite common that dairy, sometimes wheat and gluten as well, I've got somebody who says chocolate. It's not the sugar, it's not the dairy bit, it's the chocolate itself. A lot of people get to know what their problems are. So what I said sugar, like 2-3 people have dropped off the lot. I'm not giving up sugar. They've gone. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying you must stop eating dairy, you must stop eating this, you must stop eating that. What I do say is do some trials. So if you think, oh God, I'm sure I had that the other day and I'm sure I've got more spots now, do some trials. So what I say is don't eat that thing for 2 weeks at all. Check ingredients, check packets, make sure there is nothing in there at all. And then reintroduce it and see what happens. And I do find a lot of people say they cut dairy out and they get a lot of improvement in their spots and their acne. So that is definitely something worth thinking about, because that in itself can take a lot of those symptoms away. So there's quite a few things that you can do before we even start looking at products, skincare treatments, that kind of thing. But obviously the products and ingredients that we use can help hugely. Brain's gone. I might need some of that tea. Hold on. That's perfect. Okay. Right, that'll get me functioning again. So, obviously cleansing is going to be really important. Exfoliating is going to be really important. We want to get rid of those dead skin cells that are clogging the pores. We don't want them sitting on the surface of the skin. We don't want them sitting there able to mix with the oil and clog those pores, those hair follicles. We want to control oil production. Now, what we don't want to do is strip oil from the skin, because what happens when you do that is the body goes, oh, hang on a minute, I need oil, and it will produce more. You can actually end up producing more oil by stripping the oil from the skin. We need to moisturise the skin. So quite often you can have dehydrated but oily skin, as I said just now. And a lot of the products people try, people are desperate and people will try anything. They will go through all the products online, all the products on the shelf, and they will try anything to get on top of this problem, which causes them grief. It causes them a lot of upset and self-confidence issues and things like that. So they will try many different products before we've even before they get to me. But the upshot of that is actually they can end up damaging the surface of their skin. And as I said, that in itself can cause more problems, because you're opening the skin up to bacteria if you're damaging the surface of the skin. And I see that a lot. People who've had benzoyl peroxide creams from the doctors, well, they might have controlled their symptoms for a while. That is not very gentle on the skin. So we need to fix that quite often before we even think about looking at the acne itself. And just those things can actually make a huge difference. I had one client, I use her as an example quite a lot. She wrote me some amazing testimonials. She would not leave the house, she would cancel meetings, she would, and she certainly wouldn't leave the house without makeup on, and she would, it was causing her a huge amount of concern. We literally stopped her using everything she was using, and she took away a cleanser and one of our moisturising sunscreens, and that's it. She didn't take anything away, and within a week she was getting comments from her cleaner saying, "Oh, doesn't your skin look lovely?" She was going to meetings that she might otherwise have cancelled, and she even left the house without makeup on, and that's in a week. So there really is an awful lot we can do. So from an acne point of view, from a symptom treatment point of view, hi Sue, there are a few ingredients that are very key. And there are certain things that we aim to do. So we've talked about there being too much oil, too much of the wrong type of oil. It's a very thick, can be a much thicker type of oil. Hyperkeratinization or abnormal keratinization, which means the skin cells aren't shedding off as they should, and they're building up and they're blocking the skin. We don't get oxygen where the skin cells become blocked. No, there's no oxygen to the cells. I didn't say that actually. So when you get the blocking, you get the P. acnes bacteria blocked in the pores. That lack of oxygen where those pores are blocked is actually beneficial. Those P. acnes bacteria like an anaerobic environment, so we need to clean the surface of the skin, get all those blockages gone, and we need to protect the skin and the cells as well from environmental damage and also from UVA and UVB rays. So the key ingredient in acne treatment is salicylic acid. So it's related to aspirin. So if you're allergic to aspirin, you can't use it. Oh, I forgot I've got that spot. It's related to aspirin, so you have to be careful if you're allergic to aspirin. You can't use salicylic acid, but it is an exfoliant, but that does have anti-inflammatory properties. So you can see why in something like a breakout or acne spots, that could be really useful, because it's going to get in and attack those P. acnes bacteria, but it's also going to help reduce the inflammation. It's also oil soluble, so it actually can get right into the follicles to destroy that bacteria and get rid of it, help exfoliate those dead skin cells, because we need to get those being removed to help unblock the skin. One of the other key ingredients with acne for enhanced skin cell turnover is a retinol. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but basically retinol was originally used for acne clients. That's where it was developed, and it was only the results of that, of those people using that it then became developed into an anti-aging ingredient. And actually it's one of the most important anti-aging ingredients that we have on the shelf, but it's still a very, very valuable ingredient in acne. So that's going to be really key. The antioxidant protection is an ingredient called resveratrol, and that's another one that you'll find in some of our acne products. And then your sunscreen, your moisturiser, so you need to hydrate the skin with your hyaluronic acid, and you need the physical sunscreen effect against UVA and UVB rays, and that's zinc oxide is the key one for that. So the other ingredients that are within all of these, Hinocotyl is an anti-inflammatory ingredient. It's derived from red cedar trees, I believe, from British Columbia, but it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, it's antibacterial, antifungal. It's really important ingredient, and it's in quite a few of our products for acne and rosacea for its anti-inflammatory properties. Peptides are important. Oligopeptide is an ingredient used alongside retinol to improve the effects of retinol, and it also helps reduce the side effects of retinol, the sort of retinol reaction, and but it also works alongside salicylic acid to increase the effects of the salicylic acid. So there's a few things that are really, really important with acne control. The first thing then, so we're looking at skincare routine now. So we've talked about the skin, how those spots proliferate in the skin, the sort of things that we're up against, what we need to target. We've talked about specific ingredients, so now we're going to talk about a skincare routine and the sort of products that I can help you with. And because of the way that we can work at the minute, I can have a conversation with somebody suffering from acne, and we can do this prescription over a conversation on FaceTime, and I can get those products to you. Illumia are still delivering. They are being very efficient, actually, given that they've got a much reduced capacity for obvious reasons. They are still managing to get products out pretty quickly, to be fair. So depending on how serious the acne or your breakouts are would depend on which cleanser I gave you. Now there are 3 options. The first one, which I don't have in my hand, if you have very inflammatory acne, if you come to me and your skin is compromised because you have stripped it just trying to get rid of your spots, you can end up with very damaged skin, and it can be quite red, it can be inflamed, and it can even be quite sore to the touch. I would start somebody in that position on a cleanser called Sensicalm. It's used in our post-treatment kits as well. It's for soothing. It is to help reduce that inflammation. Hi Susan, I've got Sue Anna, so I had all Joanne's yesterday. I've got Susan's today. The Sensicalm will help fix the skin. So one of the first things I will be looking at is fixing the surface of the skin before we worry about the actual acne itself. So Sensicalm cleanser is going to be one of the key things that I would look at with somebody with very compromised skin. I would also then add in Ultimate Boost Serum. So you'll have seen this yesterday when we were talking about my skincare routine. Ultimate Boost Serum is really good for the texture of your skin. It will help fix that surface of the skin. That's really, really important. If it's really compromised, I would also give some recovery balm in the short term to it's almost a bit of a barrier cream. It's very soothing, very healing, and will protect the skin surface. So it might be that I do a very different routine than you would expect initially with acne, but it really is important to fix the skin. So like I said, if it's very compromised, very red, inflamed, we would start off with some soothing, healing ingredients: Sensicalm, Ultimate Boost, Recovery Balm, sunscreen. And then when we do get to a point where we can start focusing on the acne itself a little bit more, it depends how severe that acne is. If it's occasional breakouts, hormonal breakouts, and sort of random spots, you would get Purifying Gel Cleanser. This is for normal to oily skin, and it is for spot-prone skin. And it's a wash. It's a gel wash. You use lots and lots of water with that. It's very good for reducing the oil, but without stripping the skin. It's not like you must have washed your face with your. It's still a bit early, isn't it? You must have washed your face with soap at some point, and that tight feeling that you don't get that with gel cleanser. Morning, Amita. Nice to see you. So gel cleanser is the one I would recommend for most sort of grade 1, grade 2 acne. As you start to get much more severe acne, and you've got lots of spots, very regular spots, breakouts, sort of classic acne, sort of across the chin, forehead, up the sides of the cheeks, that kind of thing, then we would be giving acne clarifying cleanser. So this one has got your salicylic acid. It's got 2% salicylic acid in that. It's a lot more active. Excuse me. And that would be treating the acne directly. That's salicylic acid is, like I said, is one of those ingredients that we would need to get in to the skin. So depending on the skin type, it would be either Sensicalm cleanser, purifying gel, or acne clarifying, depending on the client. And this is why I need to speak to people, because you wouldn't be able to just look at my product and go, well, I want one of those, because we need to get the balance of the ingredients right. We need to focus on your skin at that point. Sometimes we get to a point as well, we might start off with the acne clarifying cleanser. We get to a point where it's really under control. So they then take the gel cleanser as well, and then maybe use one end of the day and one the other, or just use the acne wash when they know they're likely to get breakouts, or they are or just feeling that they're starting to come up. So they last a really long time that way as well. In fact, a gel cleanser I've made last 6 months, because you really don't need to use very much of it. So these products are quite economical as well, because they last really, really well. Give me just a second. So one of the things we said we need to do is enhancing cell turnover, or exfoliation. Exfoliation is really important. I'm looking at my hair. I have brushed it, I promise. Look at my roots. We'll talk about that in a minute. Exfoliation, okay? It doesn't have to be scrubbing. We very rarely do physical scrubbing on the skin. Chemical exfoliation can be more efficient, less damaging as well. We don't want to be scratching the skin surface particularly. So Bright and Clear is your absolute hero godsend product. For most skin types, actually, this is a really brilliant product. It's used like a toner. If you can hear, it's quite liquid. It's not a toner. It is an exfoliating and brightening solution. This is really, really key with acne. Use it on cotton wool or a cotton pad. As if you watched yesterday, I actually just squirted it into my hand and just put it on my skin like that. There's a very small percentage of salicylic acid in Bright and Clear. Very, very small. It's not too harsh. This one anybody can use. But it's very good for skin cell turnover. It can be quite active. Some people have to start off using this once a day, and once a day on damp cotton to sort of dilute it down a bit while their skin becomes accustomed to it. But that would definitely be in your routine if you had acne. We said Ultimate Boost Serum, you'd be having that. And then it depends on how severe the acne is as to what we would then do. Our acne balancing serum, I don't have one to show you, but it's in one of the tubes like this. Acne balancing serum is really key, and if you read the testimonial that went out this week from a client who we have treated their acne, she does want to stay anonymous, which is fine, but she has said that she tried everything. She went through, doctors, every product on the shelf, changed her diet, did this, did that. Nothing worked. Within 3 weeks of starting the routine, and actually again we started with quite a basic routine with her, she completely changed her skin. She still gets the occasional sort of cystic type inflammation underneath the skin, but they don't come to the surface anymore. They're not scarring. She doesn't get big breakouts, and when they come up are one at a time. So the acne balancing serum is her life-saving one. It's quite hydrating. It's got salicylic acid in it. If you suffer very oily skin, like I said, we need to be careful with oil. We don't want to strip the skin because all that's going to do is encourage it to produce more oil. So we want to use a product called mattifying serum. And what that does is it helps absorb the oil on the surface of the skin without stripping it off. And I know one of my colleagues, Danny, who some of you will know, she used it, she has a lot of younger clients use it as the selfie serum because it gives the skin such a nice matte finish. Brilliant for selfies, apparently. I think I'm a bit old for that. But it's not something I had considered, but that she sells an awful lot of it on that basis, that it makes the skin look nice and matte without being drying, without stripping the skin. So they almost use it as like a primer. So that can be useful. Vitamin C can be useful. I'm not going to dwell on vitamin C today. That's something we're going to cover a bit more later. If the skin is dehydrated and needs more hydration as well as Ultimate Boost Serum, we've got 2 moisturisers that you can use morning and or night that are particularly good for acne and breakouts. We've got Hydra Smooth and Hydra Clarite. I haven't got Hydra Clarite on the shelf to show you. Hydra Smooth has salicylic acid, Hydra Clarite doesn't. So what we don't necessarily want to do is overload somebody with salicylic. So if they've got acne, yes, we need to get salicylic into their routine, but if you overdo it, you can end up drying their skin out and making it kind of more reactive by over treating. So Hydra Clarite is the alternative to that. It's very good for breakout prone skin, but without sort of drying the skin out and making it too irritated. So as you can see, there's a lot to use. And then my last key one, sunscreen. Okay, so some of you will know that we only use physical sunscreens, and Clear Shield is the one that is designed for acne prone and oily skin. It's non-comedogenic. What that means is it doesn't cause spots. It doesn't block your pores. So Clear Shield is a really, really important ingredient to have in the skin. So your day routine could look like acne clarifying, bright and clear, possibly Ultimate Boost if your skin needs it, acne serum, Clear Shield. And then at night, you might be using purifying gel cleanser, bright and clear, retinol, and then if your skin needs extra hydration, Hydra Smooth. Now that might seem like a lot of ingredients. I would start you off with a cleanser, a serum, and a sunscreen in the first instance. So just 3 products to stop using what you're currently using and start to get your skin adjusted to the new range. If we start you on too much in one go, what happens is if there's a problem, we don't know what's caused it, too much can be too much to start with. So we tend to start off gently, and obviously I don't want to overcommit you either. I want you to see how good this stuff is, and then you'll be more inclined to add those other ingredients in later to keep that result going. Can you just excuse me a minute? My dog is just knocking on the door. He wants to come in. Hold on. Come on in. Poor little Mutt's limping a little bit at the minute. He's got a poorly paw, and I can't take him to be seen because it's not an emergency. Poor little munchkin. So that's it. That's acne in a very small nutshell. It's obviously, sorry, I'm just making sure he doesn't need to go out. It's a big subject and everybody is different, but I can do a FaceTime consultation. And if any of you out there want to ask me questions, just ping them across either onto this thread or message me separately, and we can really get to grips with that. Now's a really good time. We've got time to do this. And we can get your skin so you can emerge like the proverbial butterfly with fabulous skin if you've gone into lockdown suffering with acne. Let's see if we can get on top of it before you come out. So I'm just, I said earlier about my roots, I'm just looking at this. So I am now in the race with my friend Joanne to see who can grow the longest grey roots. She reckons she's winning at the minute. I was planning on growing my grey out actually, because hey, let's go old naturally and all that. But I wasn't planning on doing it quite this drastically. I was hoping that my lovely niece would be helping me with some sort of highlights and things to ease the way through. But no, we're going cold turkey here. So you can see how grey I am right now. So Joanne, if you're watching, let's send me a picture, see how we're comparing with each other. In fact, you can all do that. Send me a picture of your roots. So we're all in the same boat now. And send me a picture of your roots. Let's have a roots competition. We'll do that in the group. This week we will do a hair roots competition. So anyway, back to acne. Lots of things we can do. Loads of things we can do on FaceTime. Loads of things we can do to help you. It is a depressing condition. I'm stressing enough having one spot. It's one thing I've been very fortunate actually. I have never had major spots or breakouts. I had very dry rosacea type skin, but it's not something I've ever suffered from. It's literally the odd hormonal spot like this, which is good because I'm a picker. So if I had loads, I'd have had loads of scarring and stuff by now. So fortunately, it's not something I've ever suffered with, but I see an awful lot of it, and I can see that people really do suffer with acne. So if it's something you want to know more about, or you know somebody, if one of your teenage children's suffering, or you've got sort of adult onset hormonal acne, all of those things, give me a shout. We'll sort out a FaceTime consultation. And thank you for bearing with me while I wake up this morning. I know that it's a bit early. I hope you're all sitting in bed having a cup of tea. And tomorrow I think we will cover rosacea. We'll start to talk about the skin conditions as we go along. In fact, April is Rosacea Awareness Month as well. So we'll cover rosacea tomorrow. And have a lovely day. Let's hope we get a bit of sunshine. Stay well. Speak to you soon, my lovelies. Bye.